Welcome to the online graduate research forum for spring 2018. My name is Jaliyah Bolden, your presenter. I'm a graduate student in the Masters of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies program in the Department of Occupational Workforce and Leadership Studies here at Texas State. The title of my research study is An Oversight of an Athletic Organization. The purpose of this practicum was to gain management skills by taking on an assistant director position within an athletic organization. I chose this field because I have grown up playing volleyball basically my entire life, and I wanted to extend that into my professional experience. The organization I was able to work with is Texas Top Flight Volleyball, also known as TFV. It is located in Buda, Texas. And through TFV, my objectives were to introduce international characteristics of volleyball to further the understanding and technical aspect of the sport, to use language to communicate effectively, as well as develop active management skills, and lastly, to acquire, obtain, and sharpen higher level professional skills in areas such as human resources, public relations, communications, and social media. This practicum was necessary because it allowed me to see sport from a different perspective. Where I was used to simply being a player or a coach involved in the activity, I was then able to be in a position where I oversaw and assisted with running the organization. For the last 10 weeks, I've been a liaison between the coaches and the head director and between the coaches and the parents and players. This experience has proven to be eye-opening because it has shown me where there is more to this athletic organization than what is seen on the surface. Beyond just participating in practices and tournaments, there goes things such as distributing uniforms, ordering the uniforms, dealing with the comments, concerns, and questions that a parent or a player might have, and addressing any of those, as well as planning and getting out information for each tournament. So there are 3 practicum highlights that I wanted to acknowledge. So when I was considering the objectives for this practicum experience, I was met with several obstacles, or roadblocks, if you will. For some reason, I just could not come up with a cross-cultural global awareness objective. It just seemed that everything that I turned into my professor was not making the cut. It wasn't meeting the expectations of a graduate experience. So when I finally settled on my 3 objectives, I decided to utilize the FIVB League. The FIVB is an international league that is well known within the world of volleyball. So basically my idea for this objective was to compare and contrast the rules and regulations and overall play of the FIVB with the American way of volleyball. This revelation in the planning of my practicum was a definite highlight in the overall experience. So once the practicum was underway, it became clear that my cross-cultural global awareness objective needed to be revised. So I had a change of plans. At first, I was devastated because a significant amount of mental anguish had went into this plan. Not to mention that once I make a plan, I like to follow it to a T, but this was not the case. Instead of waiting impatiently for the FIVB representatives to correspond to my emails, I thought of an alternate idea, one that actually ended up making more sense. Through playing volleyball for the last 12 years, I was able to meet a lot of girls who have now gone on to play professionally overseas. I contacted about 5 girls with a series of informational questions about their overall volleyball experiences from whence they started to now their professional experience. And the cross-cultural global awareness effort then became more beneficial to my overall experience. As far as my other 2 objectives, intellectual development and career exploration, I had absolutely no obstacles in these areas, and they were all right on track with my initial plan, so it was smooth sailing from there. These highlights were chosen because they showed me how not to stress and overreact over a situation because it may not work out how I had initially planned. Instead, I had to work diligently and be headstrong, and I had to be reactive and think quickly on my feet and alternate my plan And within a professional setting, I feel like this is a very necessary attribute, and I think that this experience will definitely come in handy, and I'll be able to reflect on this in my future professional experiences. So through literature, I have 3 highlights as well. So in the Journal of Sports Management, there is a research article titled Athletic Director Leader Behavior as a Predictor of Intercollegiate Athletic Organizational Effectiveness. This speaks about how leadership dynamics affect the overall organization. Leaders who can be task-oriented and develop relationships with those within the organization are actually proven to be more successful. In the next article, the relations between organizational, cultural, identity, and image found in the European Journal of Marketing, the topic is how the leadership can shape an organization's identity. And then the last article by Joe Frontiera discusses how the organizational culture can lead to high performance of those within that organization. So all 3 of these articles have provided helpful information that shaped how I went about communicating within TFV to demonstrate effective leadership skills to those who were around me and working within the organization. So my SWOT reflections, these are basically the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that I experienced. So a strength were the useful skills that I was able to develop within a professional setting on a professional level. A weakness was that since I was familiar with the organization and its members, it was easier to fulfill my duties. So perhaps working with an organization that I did not know or was not familiar with would have provided a different learning experience. And opportunities that this practicum was smaller, so the organization I worked with is known to be a smaller volleyball club. So working with a larger organization could probably have a different, would have larger staff, it would have more teams, more girls within the organization, more parents to deal with, so it will provide a different experience. As for a threat, I really did not see or feel like there were any foreseeable threats of this overall experience. So an assumption of my experience was that it was going to be fairly easy. From the outside looking in, running an athletic organization does not seem like it's the most tedious task in the world or takes an extensive effort. But this experience taught me that this field can be stressful and tiring, but it is also rewarding to still be around the sport that I love. And although it was stressful at times, my supervisor was very helpful and he kept me on track. A limitation of my study, as I stated before in my SWOT reflection, was that I was familiar with the organization. So I went into this experience knowing who I was working with and what I'd be dealing with as far as the people that were around me. For future research, I would suggest trying a similar study in a new organization to get a feel for different individuals, which would hopefully lead to a more learning experience. As for my future career plans, I have applied to several assistant volleyball coach positions on the collegiate level. This field involves all of the same aspects that I completed in my practicum: communicating with boosters and recruits, working closely with the staff to ensure a smooth running program, and that of possible social media input. I have also considered becoming the assistant or head club director for other organizations. That it is known in the volleyball community that the organizations in Dallas, Texas are much larger and they have a higher level of competition than I saw at Texas Flight Volleyball. So I think that it will be a very great opportunity to extend my experiences that I learned with TFV to that area. And lastly, while I was researching and communicating with my colleagues about the international playing experience, I have been considering continuing my own career as an athlete through some of the resources that I was able to get from those girls that I communicated with. So whichever of these opportunities pans out, I am excited to begin my professional career after this practicum. So on the YouTube page below, please indicate your anonymous preference for this practicum by clicking on one of these two icons, like or dislike. Also, please post your comments or questions in the YouTube comment section below. I'll respond to your inquiries posted between April 6th and 17th through this webpage. I thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.